Doc, thanks for joining us. Good morning.
Thank you very much, Bernard.
So the text of what I read in the budget suggested there were extensive deliberation. That was the word they used. Was the chamber consulted in this process?
Well, so it's good that there was deliberations, but not consultation or engagement. Because, in the past, we've had several, discussions on this industry, and so far as taxation is concerned, with the Ministry of Finance and the tax dialogues, engagement. At other fora, we have had engagement. But for this specific one, we're not part of that deliberations that were had. But I would have to say that on Friday, there was a meeting between the GSM and then the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Communications, the NCA, and the GRA. But you also know that when it comes to the issues of mobile money, specifically, mobile money is not run by the GSM companies. It's run by their subsidiaries. And so of the MNOs, it's MTN, Vodafone, and then Airtel. They have companies around it. But you also have other companies. So like ZPay, for example, ZPay does not have a mobile network. G-Money is owned by Ghana Commercial Bank. So when it comes to the issues of the electronic money issuers, they are quite separate from the telcos, though some of the telcos own these e-money issuers.
Fantastic. Now the text of the announcement is what I'm interested in. If you could just pardon me to read it, because I'm trying to understand the import and whether you guys get it. But this is paragraph 315 and 316. So for the avoidance of doubt, let me just read it and then I'll get your comments. So paragraph 315 says, after considerable deliberation, government has decided to place a levy on all electronic transactions to widen the tax net and rope in the informal sector. This shall be known as the Electronic Transaction Levy or E-levy. 316. Electronic transfers covering mobile money payments, bank transfers, merchant payments, and inward remittances will be charged at an applicable rate of 1.75%, which shall be borne by the sender except inward remittances, which will be borne by the recipient. Do you have more information than what I've just read?
Yes. So when we met with on Friday, the government, the Ministry of Finance explained a bit more into detail. And so when you do transfers between mobile money transfers, from mobile money to mobile money, you would be charged. When you do a transfer between your mobile money and your own bank account, you will not be charged. But if you do it to another bank account, you would be charged. If you go to a point of sale to go and make payment, and then you use the QR code or a point of sale device using your mobile money number or your mobile money wallet, or you use a debit card or a credit card, you also would be charged. Then also if you did at the meeting, they also explained that if you made payment on the Ghana.gov platform, it would also not attract a charge. And then for every merchant payment as well, there would be a charge on it when you do merchant payment. And so these are the clarifications. And I'm sure there are a few exemptions that are also going to be coming up.
Is there a text version of the clarifications they give you that the public can read?
So there's a document that has been shared with us. I am not too sure whether at this stage it's for the public as well, but it was to explain like what I have. But I know that when we're finishing the meeting, the Minister of Communication had talked about going out and explaining, in terms of the allowable and not allowable. So I'm pretty sure it's a document that once we get clearance, we should be able to share with you.
The explanation you gave, I was at my barber's this weekend, and he asked me a question that I couldn't answer. He said if I paid him 30 cedis for the haircut he gave me, since it's a registered business, I would have to use Momo Pay or Pay Bill, one of the two, Momo Pay. So that one is a transaction, it's a service is offered me and I'm paying for a service. But if I sent him that 30 cedis as a gift using the same star 170 hash and transfer money, that's just a transaction. That's not
That's a transfer.
A transfer, fantastic. Do we know from the explanation they give you whether both of those 30 cities will attract the 1.75?
Yes, so both, as we speak now, both of them would be, because you see, there's a talk about transfers between mobile money that would attract, and then there's also the talk about the merchant payments that would also attract. And these are some of the places where we. Okay, another thing I also did not add was the fact that there's an exemption that has been capped per person at 100 Ghana cedis, and so the merchant payments, asking merchants to pay. Merchant payments in Ghana is still at a nascent stage. And it's one of the things that we are appealing to government that we need to consider at this stage. I remember when you're speaking to Dr. Alina, some of those conversations were coming up. You see, you want to expand your tax net. So what you mean by wanting to expand your tax net is that you want people who are not paying taxes to pay taxes now, not those who are already paying. So it is also very important as a country that we should stop talking about informal economy. Our real economy in Ghana is what we are currently calling informal. That is the economy. And how do we get them to also contribute? And one of the very good ways is the merchant payment that, the government's digitalization policy is pushing. And we are hoping that in December, we're going to start a massive, push on this universal QR code. But so, Bella, let's just use the example of your barber that you spoke about. So if you went into your barber's place and he had a universal QR code pasted there, and you finish your haircut and it's 30 cedis and you had to pay. And if you scan that and you were going to pay, you are charged 1.75 on top of the 30 cedis you paid. And if you took money from your pocket and you paid for it, you would not be charged 1.75. What would a rational human being do? We will now be promoting a lot of cash. So that's one of the things that we're telling government, that when it comes to merchant payment, at this stage, we should be leaving merchant payment out of it. Rather, encourage people to do merchant payment. What it will do for you is that it gives you more visibility over the businesses that this barber is, for example, doing. So at the end of the year, if he has to file his tax returns, you know how much revenue is made. He adds he now deducts his cost from it. There's profit that has been made. You tax corporate income tax on this person that in the past we used to call informal sector. Because he's using a merchant payment system, you are now able to tax that at a rate higher than 1.75. And then at that point, you are not taxing Bernard, who already has paid PAYE on his income that he's using to go and pay him, but you are taxing his profit that he's made at a higher level. So that's also another thing that we are advocating, that working together with government, let's leave merchant payments out. Another one is also the issues of utilities. With utilities, people have made a point about water and electricity, but you all know right now that telecommunication service, the ITU looks at it even as a human right and also as a utility. So we are also advocating that when it comes to buying my top-up, if I choose to buy it electronically, I should not suffer another 1.75. When somebody can also buy a scratch card, I would not suffer that. So let's look at all the issues of the utilities as well. That's also another.
So Ken, I understand the two angles you've brought. The fact that because merchant payments have not been well developed, they should be out, and also the utility payments, which are a convenience. But I want you to look at the transfers, because the transfers are not technically productivity. Do you understand? No. I'm sending money to my mom.
Yes.
And you are taxing. You are taxing a mode of payment. You are taxing. Yes. And you are taxing. So you are taxing convenience. Now, wouldn't it have been better to say telcos already have a charge for transactions, which is 1%?
Yeah.
If government had even said, "Oh, let me add a 0.2 to that 1%," and then you telco keep your 1% and then collect the 0.2 for me.
Yeah.
People are already used to that. But to now add a 1.75 to the 1 just for a transaction, even though the transaction side is the most developed part of that equation, the disincentive is going to be very serious, isn't it?
Yes, very, very much so. It's one of the things that we are asking government, that one of the things that we would have proposed if we were in that room would have been to say exactly what you're saying. So let's put we could even say that we'll put the tax on the fees that are charged, so an extra like the way you said, and so that we become a mode of collection for it. And so that's a better way of doing it. And then another way to look at it is also the fact that, government is pushing the financial inclusion, is pushing digitalization, is pushing cashlight. So, and if you look at most of the revenues about 50% of the revenues that are generated from mobile money revenues are coming from cash out. And you also want to disincentivize people cashing out. So another area you could also look at is putting the tax, if any at all, on these transactions on the point where people are cashing out. Because once you put an incentive for people, you want to make sure that people keep their money on the e-wallet and the money rather moves in that system so that you don't put burden on government and printing a lot of cash. You don't also incentivize people cashing and the risk that come with it and all of that. So, and also the fact that currently as you speak, data available shows you that there's a lot more money at the cash out level. So you put the tax there. What you do is that you then signal what's the preferred habits you want, and then what would also support all this digitalization and cashlight agenda that you're pushing. But Bernard, another thing that we should also look at is the fact in the explanation we've got to understand that bank transfers are currently exempt. What then you are doing is that then this particular e-levy, which is supposed to be an electronic transaction levy, is now becoming almost a mobile money levy, which is discriminatory, and it's not right. Because you see, in the past, you remember that there was a VAT on bank transfers, and we took it off, rightly so. But now when you bring it and you are going to allow, and a lot of the micro and the small companies, they do a lot of their transfers, on mobile money. And they are the ones who send quite a lot of this money. And if you are going to say, when I transfer money to my business partner, maybe I'm buying some rice, and then I have to send the money because it's safer, and I'm sending, say, 5,000 to the person, and I have to pay 1.75 on that 5,000. It becomes a disincentive. Most of those people will stop using that. So now they even have an option. They can either use cash or they'll go to the bank and send it. So then it becomes discriminatory for this particular channel. And another thing is that you should bear in mind, it's not only, you have fintech apps that are currently aiding some of this transfer. Are you going to say, because I use the fintech app and I did the transfer, you are going to charge that, but you are not going to also charge what happens on the banks? So that discriminatory bit of it, it's something that we hope that government would also look at. It's very critical. And government was also very good intentioned when they talked about wanting to give a limit of 100 Ghana cedis per person. But then that's the catch. It is almost impossible to be able to deliver that, technically within the 1 month in January when they want this to start. Because bear in mind, you can send money if you send your mobile money on the same network you are on. So let's say you're on ZPay and you send 30 cedis on ZPay. That is one. If you now send from ZPay to, say, an MTN or Airtel, maybe 20 cedis, that should add up to a 50. If you went to a point of sale and then you also use your debit card and you did, let's say, a 60, that would already take you above the 100. And then now what you're asking is that, and some of these could also almost be happening simultaneously. Now you need to be able to computing all of this and know what was the first 100, so you exempt that. That is going to be very, very difficult. The only way we'll be able to do this is after we've done the SIM registration and everything is linked up. Then maybe in the medium to the long term, we really can look at that. At this stage, we would suggest that now you should be limiting this on a wallet basis. And also you should even increase the quantum a bit more so that, micro and small scale companies who use this as their bank transfers, most of these traders who will go and buy things and then they will send the money to the people. If you don't put a cap on it.
All right.
Another thing, yes.
Ken, this is a very important discussion, and I thank you for opening up with these thoughts. We definitely will come back to you. I will lay my hands on the document and hopefully we can educate the public better. But thank you for your insights.
Thank you very much, Bernard.
Ken Ashigbey, engineer, is the chief executive of the Chamber of Telcos. We'll be back with a quick interview on something very, very important as well with the officials we have from the Forestry Commission. They're talking about the Ghana Share Landscape Emission Reduction Project, which is a component of the Ghana Red Plus strategy to promote sustainable approaches to land use, forest conservation, and community-based resource management. We'll come to that shortly. We'll take a